Hey everybody, welcome to another exciting edition of the Peanut Butter Promise Power Encouragement Podcast. My name would be Stephen David Rose.
I'm Charlene.
You're not middle name or anything?
Oh yeah, Charlene Marie Rose.
Yeah, you did that because I told you to, which is good.
I'm Dayton Kane, no middle name.
Yeah, okay, his middle name's Sean.
It
He
is.
coughed that one up a couple of them ago, or it's coming up or whatever. Are you with
Why
an
is that important?
S-H-A-W-N or
S-H-A-W-N.
S-C-A-N? I always wondered when they said Sean S-E-A-N. It's like, that's C-N. Yeah, it doesn't seem right. Okay, back to the insanity where we're at here.
Let's go with the
Yeah,
flow.
this is the Peanut Butter Promise. What the heck is the Peanut Butter Promise? That's a good question. The Peanut Butter Promise is a priorities-based and integrity-centered life-enhancing philosophy. The premise of it says that you were born with every talent, ability, and gift, the right personality, and all the necessary desire to fulfill a God-given purpose. I got that in.
Yeah. I see you're wearing Green Bay Packers
Yeah,
today.
well, Dayton, I wrote a Packer book.
Yes.
Are you aware of that?
I've read it.
Years ago. Now, somebody could be watching this in 2022. It was actually 1996. It's really a good story. I won't tell all of it. But I wrote a book saying, Leap of Faith, God must be a Packer fan. Insinuated God's a Packer fan. Now, again, to no credit to me, but I wrote that book and they won the Super Bowl within a few months after it was out. What do you think of that? What do you think
I
of
think you
that?
better
Dave?
write another Packers book.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement with
That's
that.
a good point because since he must have gone to Denver and New England.
Yeah, right.
Since
Oh.
that's the time probably. But yes, I wrote a Packer book, a couple of them actually. And it's not to say if you're not a Packer fan, and I don't know why you wouldn't be. You know, a lot of times you'll see people with Dallas Cowboy coats and stuff. They pick that junk up for a quarter at St. Vincent de Paul's and Goodwill, and those are two wonderful
my.
places. But that's you'll find a lot of times if somebody's a Vikings fan, like my pal Steve Waddy, they fell out of a crib when they were kids. They bumped their, So I mean, look, they're not to be faulted for that, though, right? It's an injury. You guys are looking at me like cross-eyed monkeys doing a math problem, and now we need to move on.
Let's move on.
Yeah,
look,
let's
at this, look at this football-related item.
Yeah.
This is a good one.
That's a good one for you.
Yeah. Hey, well, no, look, I gotta show you this, you guys, just so you believe me, Dayton.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
this was Leap of Faith, God Must Be a Packer Fan. That's number one. This number two. I'm gonna show you a picture of what I looked like 23 years
Oh,
ago.
my goodness.
On national TV here. You're gonna look at this and you are not going to embarrass me by going, oh, God, you
We
used
don't
to have
need
darker
to.
hair. That's what I looked like in 1997.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like the glasses, personally. That's
Thank
a good
you.
look.
I'll get some more of those, yeah. And that's my buddy Ken Ruckers there. That was Leap of Faith too. Okay, but here's where we're going with all this. We're talking about books today. We're talking about books. We're talking specifically about the power of personal development, which is power number 6 in our Peanut Butter Promise book. I spend an hour a day on average reading. Sometimes I'll take a day off, but in order to stay sharp in my field. Dayton,
Yeah.
I know that you like to spend some time reading and other study. Charlene, you like to start reading. So we're each going to do a little bit of a book review today on the Peanut Butter Promise, and I'll go first. This probably is the coup de grace of whatever you want to call the creme de la creme of purpose books. 2004, Rick Warren, who is the pastor of Saddleback Church, came out with this book, and it just went like a house on fire. 10 million copies sold. I'm pretty sure it went well beyond that. But this was a biblically based book. It is a biblically based book. And if you read it, it's like, wow. But he tells you that our number one deal, our number one purpose is that God created us to serve Him, for His good and for His glory. And this may be the part you say, yeah, Steve, Dayton, Charlene, mainly me. You know, do I need to have the need of that God stuff for this to work? No. God's powers, His principles, His laws, His virtue, all this stuff that we're talking about, these are not our truths. These are biblical truths. And if you apply them, they will come to pass. I will say that if you don't have a relationship with God, you may lose out on a little bit, but again, don't believe me. I struggle with this stuff as well. But for me, this book, The Purpose-Driven Life, recommended highly to you. Dayton?
Yeah, so this book is interesting that you bring it up that way, because when you think of Tony Dungy, you think of the famous football coach who won a
Right.
Super Bowl, and he also believes in Jesus and follows God, and you wouldn't know that unless you read about him or listened to him talk. If you just are a sports fan that knows Tony Dungy as a great coach,
Sure.
the principles that are in the Purpose-Driven Life, that are in the Peanut Butter Promise, that are in the Bible, he follows them. And this book here, Quiet Strength, is the second one I've read. I read Uncommon, which is also up there. Great books. If you're a football fan and you're looking for some inspiration, even if you're not a football, I would recommend, so Uncommon, I would recommend for anybody. It's a little more open-ended. If you're a football fan, Quiet Strength is a little bit more football-based, but they're both great books to read, and it'll show you a guy who was humble, who really followed his faith, who put others first, who was able to balance a family through all of it. It's amazing when you read through this.
Remind us who Tony Dungy is.
Yes.
So the team he won with was the
Indianapolis Colts,
the Colts. He coached. He also coached the
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I just read the books and I forgot. But you know, which is funny, because I'm not a huge football fan. Like, I love watching the Packers, but that's as deep as my football knowledge goes. I don't know. So the fact that I read these books and was so inspired shows you it's not about his football and his teams. It's about what he has to show in his life. So
Yep. Tony, if I remember right, you can correct me because you read it, but grew up on the East Coast, wonderful parents, God-fearing parents. He went to the University of Minnesota. He was like a defensive back, drafted by Pittsburgh. Anyway, his season of playing was short, but he went then into coaching.
Yes.
And he was the coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from like 96, 97 to whatever. Then he went to the Indianapolis Colts, and I believe they beat the New Orleans Saints in the Super Bowl in like 7 or 8. From there, he goes and you can see him on NBC, the right time of the year, NBC Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
And but the point that Dayton was making, and I had the privilege of reading the books as well, integrity. He would draft players based on integrity. One of the books, it says something about DND, do not draft, or don't draft for character, something like that. He believed that it wasn't about ability, it was about whether he was going to be a good influence on the team and whether he was going to be honest or whatever. But Tony Dungy, wonderful, wonderful person, and we'd sure like to have Tony on a Peanut Butter Promise Power Encouragement podcast, and I'm sure if that's meant to be,
We'll do it.
someday he probably will. Charlene?
Yes. Well, one of my favorite authors and a lady that I really do look to give me a little bit of uplifting during the day, I watch her in the morning, is Joyce Meyer. And this book is incredible. The Battlefield of the Mind has been out for years, and millions of copies have been sold. She also has a workbook to go with this. I also had ordered from Joyce Meyer the Battlefield of the Mind New Testament, because in the New Testament it's from Matthew all the way to Revelations, but she has notes in there from her Battlefield of the Mind, and things that encourage people. And so, and again, I don't have a copy of that. Every time I buy a copy, I give it to someone. So I encourage you to do the same with our book if you get a chance to read it, that you just pass it on. But what I do is I read her stuff. I do listen to her. She's very motivational. She teaches you how to live every day. And so when I read this book, and I'm still reading it, I read it a lot. I don't stop reading this book. Reason being that what a person thinks is what they become. And so I need to change things. When I'm having a tough time, when I'm not feeling so good about myself, or I'm going through something, I have to sit down and really figure out what provoked it, and what is really going on. What am I really thinking about? What is really happening? More today than ever, I do see people, and I do talk to a lot of women and a lot of people that come to me for counsel, and they'll ask me, to just help them figure things out. And a lot of times it's just what they're thinking about. It's just what they have their focus on. And the battlefield of the mind is this. You know, I have to keep fighting off bad attitude. I have to fight off negative thinking. You know, when something comes against me, when I'm going through something and I'm trying to be the best I can be, and then all of a sudden you get that rut in the road where somebody provokes you into a situation where you're thinking, why am I here? I don't want anything to do with this, but now I'm in it, and I have to figure out how I can get myself to make the most out of the situation. You know, Steve, you went through your prostate cancer this past year, and I remember what you said to me, and it sticks with me all the time. When you're going through something tough, and when you're going through a circumstance or a situation, what is the lesson? What do you need to learn? What do you need to go through? Because you went through some tough stuff. I watched you. I was with you. I helped you. And I remember you telling me that when we were going through one of the tougher things, and you looked at me and you just said, it's okay. This isn't going to last. This isn't going to be like this all the time. So let's just do this. And he was so encouraging, and I thought, but you're the one feeling the pain, you know. And I'm thinking, oh, you know, but and it's how you determine in your heart and mind to think about your circumstances. It's how you want to look at it. And his determination throughout that cancer was, what lesson do I get from this? What am I to learn from this, so that I can take it with me and I can use it for good? You know, we are all going to go through stuff, but one thing that it says in here, and I love that, that she talks about a lot, is speak out what you're thinking positively. You know, take something positive for your day and say, you know what, one morning I got up and the sun was shining and the birds were singing outside, the grass is green, it's a beautiful day. It's easy for me to sing, summer breeze makes me feel fine. You know, it's just, it was a beautiful day. But there's that stormy day that comes up that I go, what am I going to do with this? How am I going to do that? And, you know, I have to go the extra mile. I have to speak aloud what I'm thinking. I have to tell myself, you know what, those clouds up there are a distraction. All they are is a distraction. The sun beyond those clouds is still shining. It doesn't stop shining just because clouds and storms come your way. And that's where I have the faith. I know that they're there because today is a sunny day and I see the sunshine. I've been in an airplane during a storm, and we go through the clouds, and up above the clouds is your blue sky and your sunshine. The clouds are beneath you, so those clouds are just a distraction. And some days when you're thinking about things that are hard to deal with and you're going through that stuff, you need to remind yourself on those days that, you know what, the sun's still shining. These are just clouds, and they will pass, and they'll go their own way, and I'm still going to be here, and the sun's still going to be shining, and it's still going to be beautiful. And so that's what we have to be focused on. We have to get our minds set on things. So.
Wow.
You hear it all the time, garbage in, garbage out.
Yep.
But you don't hear the opposite very often, which is if you put in the good things in,
Yep.
good things will come out. So when you get into those periods of darkness and you get into those times when things aren't going the right way, you're going to have the right stuff in your brain to help you get through it. If all you're doing is putting in garbage and you hit more garbage, guess what? Suddenly you got a garbage pile.
Exactly.
Right? We need to be feeding our brains, our souls, our hearts with others. We need to be thinking of outside of ourselves with good things, and that way when the bad comes, we're more equipped for it.
And that's what we're trying to do here, right?
Yes.
I mean, really, and again, we need this as badly as you do. Just because I'm sitting here, you know, talking away doesn't mean that I have it all figured out, because I don't. But I love that analogy, Charlene, you talked about with the, you know, when it's cloudy and gloomy, we have the indication that there's no hope, there's no sun, until all of a sudden it moves. Every once in a while, you may see it get a little darker in here. It's because the clouds are going through the sun and whatever.
But what is your focus, and what are you focusing on? That's important. You know, to improve yourself, you need to look forward to the things that are good. And when the things aren't so good, make sure you got that go-to, a book, a program, a song, music, something. Turn something on, do something that will help you put your focus where it needs to be during the time. You know, when you're grieving a loss of somebody, it's not the time to put on the Beer Barrel polka. You know what I mean? Because you're not celebrating anything. You're losing somebody. You need to grieve, and that's all good and well. But I know a lot of people who have encouraged me during those times, just by being there, just by holding my hand, or just by giving me a scripture verse, putting a song, you know, playing the light song in the background and just telling me, you know what, I know this
You
isn't
know,
gonna
speaking of
last.
song, and I didn't discuss with you guys, but you're talking about the blue sky. Should we just kind of all join in on a verse of blue sky? Nothing.
No.
Okay,
no.
let's just finish things up then.
Don't let 'em
Probably,
sing.
huh?
Don't let 'em
Dayton,
sing.
do you sing at all?
I don't sing very well.
In
no.
the shower?
I just want to look before we
You're
wrap this up.
you're evading the question.
Before we wrap
In
this
the
up,
shower?
I want to look behind us right here because
Yes.
talk about feeding yourself
Yeah.
properly.
Yes.
I get to come here every time we record these, and if you're listening to the podcast, behind us is just a wall of books, of self-help, of encouragement.
There's
And
more
it's
on the other
all, it
wall.
was your father who
Yeah.
has started this in you,
Yeah.
and now it continues through me, and it's going to keep going. It's just amazing to think that I can come here and find inspiration anytime I need it.
Studio 7 here at 777 Peanut Butter Promise Place. This is a studio, and we don't sing in here, do we, Dayton? You ever sing in the shower?
I don't.
I mean, when you're on
I
the
sing in the
radio
car
Okay.
and in
when
the
I'm
radio
driving on the
studio.
radio.
Okay,
side.
all
That's
right.
when I
I'm the
sing, when
only
nobody
singer
else
in
is
the
All
room.
around.
right, and don't worry about that little recording device in your car. On there.
Trust me, when my wife is with me, she wishes she weren't when we're driving.
Yeah, all right. Power of personal development today. Purpose-driven life. Dayton talked about both quiet strength, uncommon. Tony Gentry, Battlefield of the Mind. Joyce Meyer. You can find her on TV anywhere. So, anyway, can they find us on social media
Yes.
if they're looking for us?
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, SoundCloud, peanutbutterpromise.com is where you can go and find everything in one spot, including the book.
Yes,
That's right.
absolutely. We do have a book. Dayton's all over it. Charlene is. I am too. Speaking of these two, for Charlene, he's Dayton Sean. I'm Stephen David. Until next time, making a great peanut butter promise. You better read that right there.